Call the meeting to order. The municipality of Oakland-Wawanesa would like to acknowledge and recognize you're operating on Treaty 1 and Treaty 2 lands, being the original territory, the Anishinaabe and Dakota nations, and the homeland of the Métis Nation. Be resolved that the agenda for the January 21st, 2025 meeting be accepted. Excuse me. As presented with the addition of communication from the RM of Cornwallis related to code of conduct under the in-camera portion of the agenda. Be it resolved. Oh, sorry, mover. Sir Jones, second. Councillor Fisher, all in favor?
Yeah, it should be good.
In favor, Craig?
He's muted right now. What's on it?
There, in favor.
Be it resolved that the minutes of the December 17th, 2024 regular meeting of council be hereby approved as circulated. Can I get a mover? Seconded by Councillor Jones. Any discussion? All in favor?
In favor.
Be it resolved that the January 8th, 2025 firefighter payroll being check numbers 7746 to 7752 and 7754 to 7770 in the amount of $7,821 be hereby approved. Can I get a Jones, seconded by Councillor Fisher? Any discussion? In favor?
In favor.
Be it resolved that the January 8th, 2025 general accounts payable being check numbers 7771 to 7775, 7777 to 7826 in the amount of $129,422.42 be hereby approved. Get a mover. Jones, seconded by Councillor Fisher. Any discussion? All in favor?
In favor.
It's favor.
Be it resolved that the January 8th, 2025 general accounts payable checks numbers 773 and 7776 in the amounts of $331.80, $135.97 respectively payable to Mike Fisher be hereby approved. Weaver, Councilor Jones, Councilor Hatch, are you okay to second?
Yes.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
In favor.
Be it resolved that direct deposit 339 being staff payroll for the period of December 9th to December 20th, 2024 in the amount of $11,101.62 be hereby approved. I get a mover, Councilor Fisher, seconded by Councilor Jones. Discussion. All in favor?
In favor.
Be it resolved that direct deposit 340 being 2023 med corrections in the amount of $656.92 be hereby approved. Can I get a mover? Jones, seconded by Councilor Fisher. Any discussion? All in favor?
Favor.
Carried. Be it resolved that direct deposit 341 being vacation payout in the amount of $461.34 be hereby approved. Can I get a mover? Fisher, seconded by Councilor Jones. Any discussion? All in favor?
In favor.
Carried. Be it resolved that direct deposit 343 being payroll for the period December 23rd, 2024 to January 3rd, 2025 in the amount of $10,989.06 be hereby approved. Get a mover. Councilor Fisher, seconded by Councilor Jones. Any discussion? All in favor?
In favor.
Carried. Be it resolved that direct deposit 344 being staff payroll for the period January 6th to January 17th, 2025 in the amount of $12,571.81 be hereby approved. Can I get a mover? Jones, seconded by Councilor Fisher. Any discussion? All in favor?
In favor.
Carried. Be it resolved that direct deposit 342 being council indemnities for the month of December 2024 in the amount of $5,824.91 be hereby. Mover, Jones, and Councilor Fisher. Discussion. All in favor?
In favor.
Into the utility account, be resolved that the January 8th, 2025 utility accounts payable and check numbers 1215 to 1228 in the amount of $637.02 be hereby. Fisher, second. Jones, any discussion? All in favor?
In favor.
Be resolved that the statement of revenues and expenditures report to December 31st, 2024 be received as presented. Mover, second, Councilor, any discussion? In favor?
In favor.
Be it resolved, the bank reconciliations for the month of December 2024 be approved as previously stated. Fisher, discussion. All in favor?
In favor.
I did delegations. Invite Mr. Zakanowicz and Mr. Shearer to the delegation table. Go first.
Oh.
We'll just go.
Alphabetically.
You've used that before.
It's been put on me my whole life.
Oh, yeah, I don't think we need to go back and rehash the past. It was my hope that after the bylaw was passed, that it would be included the whippoorwill. And the reason that I hope, or I was fairly confident that would take place, is that no one knew, including council and everyone in town, that there wasn't a bylaw in place. That didn't come up until after there's a problem. So every bill since, and I'm not sure when amalgamation was and that the drainage bylaw got dropped off in 2019. Every build from that point to the time of the new bylaw, every builder, every council member, assuming everyone in Wawanesa, was under the assumption that the old bylaw was in place. Because no one knew. No one on council knew that there wasn't a bylaw until there was a problem. So I can't understand why we wouldn't retroactive back. There is, to my knowledge, in driving around town and looking at things, there is only one new build that doesn't follow the old bylaw. Mitch Fry's would, I think, be after that. Buddy Graham's would be after that. Every new build has drainage following what looked like the old bylaw. So I'm not sure why the build of the whippoorwill, everyone assumed it was under the old bylaw. And anybody that says differently is not being truthful, because everyone on council, builders, myself, Don, we all thought it was under the old bylaw. So to just let it pass and not retroactive it back seems like it's like I'd like an explanation for it, I guess, basically. So then when it wasn't retroactive back, I go back in my notes and say, and look at some of the things that happened. Council passed the motion to put culverts in as drainage. And then that mysteriously never happened. And now I'm under the understanding that can't happen. Like once it's passed through council, it has to happen. I don't know what happened after the meeting that it didn't go through council, but I'm told that can't happen. It has to happen. Once it's passed through council, does the culvert not have to go in? Or am I just speaking and nobody can speak to it?
If you want us to speak, I think that's,
Yeah,
I think it's up to you whether you want us to wait.
I would like to know why the culvert didn't go in. And in my opinion, and I'm not sure where the culvert was going, but I think some of the confusion, and I'm no expert, but I just have spent way too much time thinking about this. I think the culverts need to go. There's an MTS pedestal and a white post, and there's a stop sign. They both fall within the municipal right of way, about 3 or 4 feet off the driveways. That's where the culvert needs to go. I think people reading between the lines, I think everybody else thinks that it should go closer to the street. But that's not where the water used to drain, and that's not where it's gonna drain now. It's beside the street. It needs to go on the northern edge of the right of way and run east. And it used to, and it no longer does. If anyone buys or builds on any of the lots to the west, it needs to be able to run east. If I was to buy Don's lot, I would build it up 6 inches. I wouldn't build it up to the grade of that the condos are at now. And I don't have to build it up that way. Because as long as the front slopes by the new bylaw, as long as the front slopes to the municipal right of way and all the water stays on Don's property, or when I buy it, it'll be my property. As long as it stays on my property, that's all I have to do. But there is no way that water is going to run east. And as a solution, a berm was put in at the back. Well, under the new bylaw, that berm doesn't pass because the berm is built on the Whippoorwill property, but still slopes to the north from the center of the berm north. Now, is that a big deal? Absolutely not. Do I care? No, I don't. But if the municipal right of way continues to be plugged on the south side and this proceeds to past what it is now, then I'm not going to just ask for the municipal right of way on the north side, south side to be fixed. I'm going to ask for the other side to be fixed too. This all seems extremely petty to me, and I don't want to be here today. It's too bad it's got to this. If it was built under the bylaw that everybody assumed was in place, we'd be fine. If it's built under the new bylaw or fixed to the new bylaw, we'd still be fine. I do think that we need to consult someone other than just a guy like me sitting here. I think it needs to be 4 feet, 3 to 4 feet off the driveways. I think that solves everything. I think it stays away from the water lines that the town owns and the problems that could be caused there, because I think that's why it was not put in the first place. One of the contractors told me their idea was to put a hole between the two driveways. The water would drain to that, and then the water would drain from there to the east. Made sense to me. Got more expertise than I do. At the end of the day, all the problems that have arisen why we can't put culverts in has nothing to do with me or Don. That should have all been addressed during or prior to the building of the Whippoorwill. Things come up after, and all excuses after, unfortunately, have nothing to do with me. If the bylaw was followed, the bylaw was not in place. We all agree that now, but no one knew that until long after the building of the Whippoorwill.
So to go back and answer your question, Derek, the decision that council made to put in a culvert was made to try to rectify the issue. Once, I believe that it would be fair to say that council probably should have done more research before making that. Once the decision was made, the water contractor in town, along with a very well-respected contractor in town, gave us advice that in that culvert would freeze the water lines to where. I don't think that that's a viable solution, is to have the water lines frozen to those units.
And see, I don't know if it's, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think some of the thought was that would be, the culverts would be close to the street and the water lines running close to the street, but maybe I'm misinformed there. But again, if the culverts were put in 3 to 4 feet off the driveway, which is where I think they need to be, that's where it used to drain, then would it would only be the water lines into the Whippoorwill.
That's my understanding.
Yeah.
Concern.
And again, I do not want that to happen, but that is not my problem. Like, that should have all been thought about prior to the build, because it should have been following the drainage bylaw that everyone thought was in place. And anyone that says they don't think the drainage bylaw was in place is not truthful. And again, it's extremely unfortunate, but, and I respect the two people greatly that gave that advice, but there's 2 more people or 8 more people that said, no, when Alan Bullock put in those lines, they put X number of inches of styrofoam on top or below, and that stopped it. And if it was going to be a problem, they could have put X number of more inches on top, and then it definitely wouldn't have been. So again, it goes back to, if we had been following the drainage bylaw, all that stuff would have been done. Now, I know there'd be a huge cost to fixing it. But according to Allen and Bolak, it's easily fixed. Put styrofoam on top of the lines that are, the water lines that are running into the condos. Is there a cost there? Yeah. Would it have been really cheap at the time? Yeah, because I did it. I put styrofoam on top of the water lines running into my shed. The styrofoam cost me $54 or something. And they aren't near as deep as what, and it's not going to freeze. So I respect their decision, and they're probably right. I think we should check with Allen and Bolak to see how much styrofoam was put in. But again, it could be fixed. And if it's not really our problem at the end of the day, it's very unfortunate. And I don't want to be standing here saying, I don't care if the water lines freeze, because I do. But that can't be the reason we're not going to do what's right and follow, because there was a mistake made earlier. We can't just keep making mistakes because something was missed to start with. That's my opinion anyway.
I have a question. The letter from your lawyer indicates that the measures that have been taken have not been effective. To my knowledge, there's been no further issues. Am I incorrect in saying that?
The water still runs west.
Have you had damage to your building?
I'm gonna address that when Derek's done, if I could.
I've been instructed that I have to do due diligence. If any damage happens to the shed, like it did, like I've got things that aren't covered in the shed. Every MPI vehicle is not covered. There's damage to a 1950 Chevy truck. And the reason it's not covered is because it wasn't a singular event. The shed floor became wet. It stayed wet for a period of time, caused damage to the truck. Technically, it's now on me to take every MPI vehicle out of the shed, because like if it's submerged in water and that's what caused the problem, then they cover it. If the floor has 8,000 gallons of water on it, which by my calculations, that's how much, 8 to 10,000 gallons of water, and it seeps into the floor, they don't cover it, because anything in that shed for the period of time after that has been exposed to moisture. So the facts remain, there used to be a municipal right of way. The bylaw states that we have to do that going forward. It doesn't matter whether there's damage. I'm trying to mitigate my risk, and that's what I'm supposed to do. So we can't just wait until something fails and say that I'm not prepared to wait until something fails. I'm prepared to take this further, to follow the bylaw that's in place and the bylaw that everyone thought was in place. So has it fixed the problem? Or do we think it's fixed the problem? Yes. But I was also instructed I'm possibly going to have to move snow piles in town, because if they run across the road and cause a problem, we can't have that. The irony is that's exactly what's happening. It comes across the road. The last time there was a rain event, the reason I was given by the head of the building committee is we can't control the amount of rain that comes down, so it's out of our control. The amount of snow we've got this year is in excess of anything we've had in the past number of years. I'm very concerned that the improvements, now I don't know this, the improvements have worked to date, but we haven't had a snow event like this. Like if we have a slow melt in the spring, it'll be fine. If the culverts freeze, like the concern is on the snow pile that I might have to move, then we're not going to be fine. And if the culverts freeze, it'll come across the road, and then it will be a problem. If it comes across the road, no matter the volume of it, it should stay in the municipal right of way, or at least have a chance to. Right now, there is no municipal right of way.
And there never was, to be clear. But
And I understand.
Yeah.
The reason I was given that the council doesn't have to do anything is because it's not as designed right away. So my question to that is, if it's not a design right away, why did the municipality put rocks in the west side of Mill Street and make it a design right away? After, because
we're trying to take measures to try to help with freezing people's water.
but that means that it is now a design.
Along the east side of the Whitneyville property.
West, on the west side of it, on the east side of the whip.
Yeah.
That was never designed right away. That was the reason I was given. Well, clearly now it's a designed right away because we put stone, or the town has put stone in there. So by that argument, if we're going to make it a designed right away, then we need to continue it on to the west and be a designed right away. We can't just go from the corner of the stop sign down to mitigate the risks to the whippoorwill, because that's what we're doing right now. By putting the stone in there, the only one that we're helping is the whippoorwill.
That was intended to help your,
But the only water that can come, the only water that goes down there now is coming off the whippoorwill. It is the only water that
but
can
it's not
be,
gonna damage the whippoorwill, it's gonna damage your crop.
but it's coming off the whippoorwill. Like, I'm in full agreement of what was done there, but let's take the grade or put culverts in the driveway so that if it comes over the road at the 90-degree, that it can continue east, not damage the whippoorwill, continue north in the now stones, and not damage anyone's property. Let's follow the bylaw that's in place. Let's follow the bylaw that everyone thought was in place. That's all I'm asking.
I'm sure you understand that to try to retroactively enforce a bylaw isn't actually fair to ratepayers, because it will not be the only property.
Okay,
that's impacted.
but it is the only property, Brett, because everyone built under the assumption that the bylaw was in place. No one in this room, no builder, no one built any of the buildings knowing that there was not a bylaw in place. So council and whoever signs off on the drainage also believed that the bylaw was in place. So it's not a stretch to think we should
I think you're making an assumption there, Derek, that I don't understand.
Okay, Joni, were you under the assumption the bylaw was in place
I was until we started looking and.
after there was a problem?
When it became a problem, and I went looking to see whether or not we had something in place that would require council to take some effect. And what I found was that the zoning bylaw that had been in place for Wawanesa had included the requirements for a drainage plan. The zoning bylaw that was put in place for the entire municipality no longer had that clause in it. There was some drainage clauses that were specific to rural areas. I couldn't find anything that said the same for the settlement area.
So when the whippoorwill was signed off on, as if the drainage was okay, who signed it and under what assumption was it? Because
There's no sign off for that, Derek.
you have to get clearance on the site plan and everything. It's in the bylaws. Is it not?
Yeah, so the site plan for building purposes would have gone through office of the fire commissioner. They probably weren't as concerned with drainage issues. The development permit goes through our office. And the information we had at the time was that the property was graded, would be graded to flow to the east.
Right. So there is a sign off.
Okay, there wasn't a council approval of that.
Okay.
You know, you were saying that council.
Okay, and I'm
If they said
that my terminology must be wrong then, but somebody with signing authority has approved this. And it was approved under the assumption that it was the old drainage bylaw, because no one knew there was one until there was a problem. And at that point, people were living in it. Well, it was months gone by. So I understand what you're saying about retroactive back and that it would cost money, but every build up until the point was built under the assumption, and you can drive around and look, they all have culverts and drainage. So I don't know what to say.
I'm guessing you haven't pulled every permit to verify.
No, I'm just going by memory.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. But I mean, this is not Brandon. There is not 87 new builds there's a limited number. So we can hide behind a cloak that this is, but it's not right. And I am saying, I don't want it to get to this. It's terrible that it's this petty. But if it costs money to go to the next step, then I'm going to go after the back of the whippoorwill too, because it's not done properly. I've said that from day one, that the contractor that did the berm did an excellent job. It drained east. The instructions were left as to how to handle it from there. They weren't handled. Every downspout and there's a hump like this. The water comes around the corner and it pools all the way along there. When it doesn't run and it pools, it soaks into the berm and it comes underneath into a lot that's already wet. On top of that, the berm runs on the Whippoorwill property, which is good. But from the top of the berm to the north, the water runs. Now, is it a minute amount of water? Yes. Does it matter to me in the whole scheme of things? Absolutely not. But if we're going to be petty and hide behind little things on the front side, then I'm going to be petty and hide behind little things on the back. And that is going to cost tens of thousands of dollars. Because it has, by the letter of the law on the west side and the north side, what needs to be there is a retaining wall. Because not a drop of water is supposed to go onto the next property or the next property. And right now, or at least make an attempt to not. Right now, it slopes directly to the west and directly to the north.
And maybe I can interject for a second, because this what you say is a very valid point. If you drive by today, you can see they're pushing snow from the west driveways up against my property. Their lot is 4 feet higher. Where's that water going to run? It runs directly onto my lot. It does run to the back, and unfortunately, in the winter, it puts snowbanks at the back. So when it melts, it can run east at the time, just because of the snowbanks. So it runs onto my property and over the hill. Fortunately, last winter we had very little snow, and I had an individual from Whippoorwill down and showed him. It was a trickle, but I wanted to show him this is what is happening, and with a very small snow event, and I wasn't greeted very well. He was abusive, the language he used, and all I was trying to indicate is, look, this water, this snow runoff is not going the way it was designed. This year, with all that snow, where's it going to go? I know the snow pile has been cleared between the lots, but none of it has been touched the west side. Derek, I just wanted to mention that because you were talking. Did you have?
No, I'm basically done, I think. So I've stated my case. I hope it doesn't have to go beyond this. I hope we can fix the drainage on the front.
Okay, so just to add a couple of things, because I think Derek's covered it all. First of all, I know you guys don't like us appearing here anymore, and we don't want to be here. However, this issue just continues because nothing's being done. We had a very uneventful summer. We didn't have any heavier rainfalls. So the drainage system in place, it worked adequately. That doesn't mean the issues have been resolved. That water will cross the road. As a matter of fact, the culvert on the south side gets higher every day. A few years back, there was about 3 feet of culvert exposed on the top. Today, there's 12. Don't tell me that culvert is not going up. The frost is pushing it. When you stand on my property and you look across the road, you can almost see the bottom of the culvert. So there was nothing done to lower the ditch going east. And there may be reasons for that, but that doesn't solve the issue. And the town cannot put off that the water never used to cross the road and run through my property. Now, the town is going to be responsible for the devaluation of my property because I now have a property on each side who have built up higher than the road. And my property is there, and it's just expected that the water should run through there, not a drainage facility. It's incredible. The natural course, as Derek has indicated, is to the east. That's how it ran. With the Whippoorwill there now, they have blocked that. And so without something being done, you know, I don't think we have to wait until there's a major event. And when is it coming? Is it going to be this spring with all the snow? It's irrelevant. The point is, it will happen again. I had water on the floor of my shed 4 years in a row and started bringing it up with council. It could be 5 years ago now because they did nothing the first year. And I think it's about 3 years now, but this issue's been ongoing. And with the reluctance to spend any money on engineering, I understand engineering is extremely costly. But I mean, you can't wait until a serious issue happens and then try to fix it. Let's be a little bit proactive here. There is other places that water. Again, the water from Cliff Street, 4th Street, 3rd Street is all going down in that direction. And that one culvert cannot handle all that. Maybe council should look at deepening the ditch so the water is running north off of 3rd, would continue east, you know, and then go across the street from the highway where they are where they have a deep ditch, you know, instead of it all going into one area. That is the problem. Maybe some of this water off 4th Street should be split to continue to go north down toward the pool. There's deeper ditches there. Would it require a little work? Yes, but let's not wait until there's an issue. Excuse me. Anyway, because of the amount of times we've appeared and really not had as a resolution to it, we were basically forced to seek legal recourse. That's not our first choice, but you know, we have to do that. And so to sit here and debate, you know, what we should do or what the costs are of doing something, that can just go on forever. It doesn't resolve anything. And that's what Derek and I are trying to do it. We are ratepayers as well. Why is one ratepayer being allowed to cause this issue, being allowed to continue? That's fine. But the result of it has now become our issue. And we're not getting that support. So our only recourse is to take legal action. Do we want to? Absolutely not. We live in a small community. We all know each other. We get along. I would really hope that we can work something out that is satisfactory, you know, to everyone involved. I'm not trying to point fingers at the new build or anything else, but there is consequences of what's been done there. And the town bears responsibility there. So unfortunately, it's come to this point. Again, as Derek mentioned, you know, with piling snow, he's been told not to pile snow, but they continue to do it there. It's very clear where the water's going to run, and when the water crosses the road,
Who's giving that?
I'd rather not.
Not the municipality.
Yes,
Yes, not the municipality.
yes, it is someone employed by the
You
municipality
with me.
on your lot.
So basically what was said, just so everybody's clear, was that there's always an issue with that culvert, right? It's hard to see, just the way that the driveway was put in. It has flooded the road twice last year, which we talked about piling snow, if there was an alternative place to pile it or to separate the pile. Now, regardless, at the end of the day, if there's snow piles in this town that are gonna cause problems, they're gonna be moved. I don't care who's there. So that's just what it's gonna boil down to. And I'm not talking about that pile in particular. I'm talking about ones at the Whippoorwill as well, just as we talked about.
And I'm not I want to say firstly, I'm very appreciative of all the improvements that have been made because they have done a lot to rectify it. But we're hung up on, the fact of the matter is, and in the case of the snow pile down there too, through no fault of anyone's, if a culvert plugs or the water crosses the street from fast melt or somebody is hauling water, 18 fire trucks happen to explode on the street and it runs across. The fact of the matter is the water has to have the ability to stay within the municipal right of way. And if someone plugs the municipal right and blocks that flow of water and then causes damage to the next person,
Right.
the plan cannot be to, in the event that the the waterway on wherever it is, if that fails for whatever reason and crosses the street, the plan can't be to put it onto private property and redirect it around another way. You can't plug a municipal right of way. You can't stop the flow of water in the municipal right of way. The whippoorwill has done that, and anyone else that is built in the time frame that they thought the bylaw was in place, yes, we should go back, because you cannot block a municipal right of way causing damage to a neighboring property. Whether it's a designed waterway or not, water used to flow east in lots of places.
What does success look like for you guys? What's your goal today?
We need a culvert put in back to grade, the original grade, which the original grade is there. Now, my idea would be 3 or 4 feet off
It's original grade there still.
well, on
Do we know what it is?
the original grade is on the adjacent property. And it's also on the property to the east of the grade. Provided Google Maps to show that water used to flow. I don't know what more I can do. What resulted is a culvert from the edge of the Whippoorwill property to the east, what about whatever it is, 10 feet in, 4 feet off of the driveway where the water used to run. Not a swale beside the street, a culvert beside the street doesn't do it. And that just causes more problems for the town because that's right on top of the town water. If it's 4 feet off the driveway, you can check with Alan Bolak and see somebody with more experience than me. Craig Hatch probably has dealt with this. There's a very good chance there's styrofoam on top of those lines running into the whippoorwill. I don't know anyone. Alan Bolak does this in Brandon all the time. I'm assuming that they treated Wawanesa like Brandon. I don't know this case, but in Brandon, put styrofoam on top of all the water lines running into the private residences, so there is no problem. And styrofoam is cheap. So
It's the digging.
when it's dug up the first time, my bet is Alan Bolak put styrofoam in. That's my assumption.
I will definitely check for you.
And if the water lines are 3 feet or the culvert is 3 feet off the driveway, and that's in my mind where it should be, then we don't cause a problem in the town. But again, this should have all been done prior to there was a thing in place. There's approvals for site plans.
So the culvert idea is is that fair to say?
But it was also passed through municipality.
No, but I'm saying, you understand the position, council? We have consulted with someone who has decades of experience dealing with drainage and water in this town. And his advice was that was a very bad idea and it was going to freeze those water lines. And if we took the measures that we have now taken, his opinion was that that would be enough to solve the problem. That's what council is going on. What I think you're going on is your own opinion.
Is the expert's opinion, but is he under the assumption that the culvert was not beside the street and it was 12 feet in?
He's done drainage in this town for decades there. I assume he knows where to put a culvert to drain water.
No, but the culverts are not in standard spots in anyone's driveway. You can go look at Buddy Graham's compared to yours, compared to mine. They're moved in and out. And I don't know who put the culvert in Buddy Graham's. I'm guessing it was Perry Klein, 12 feet in. So the culvert, I think what was asked of or what the plan was the culvert and the swale were right close to the street, because right now, the little dip that's there is right close to the street. That is not where I would be putting the drainage, but again, I'm not the expert. I think if the drainage was put in, the culvert was put in 12 feet, there is only one water line running in there. And I'm betting that Alan Bolak did it, but again, that should be planned out ahead of time. And it's not the responsibility of the council. It's not the responsibility of Don. It's not the responsibility of me to have done all that. That should have been planned out by the building committee. That is not your responsibility. The water line's running to a private property. The town isn't going to pay for my water line to be fixed into my house if it freezes or if it breaks or if it's on running from the curb stop in. It's the ratepayer's responsibility. Like, we're getting hung up on this. Yes, as council, I agree. Your hands are tied. But if the culvert goes in 4 feet off on municipal right of way, which is where it should go, and I don't know who determines where, like, is it Perry that put it in Buddy Graham's in that spot because that's where the water ran and not beside the street? My guess is yes. If the culvert is put in there, and you guys need to consult somebody smarter than me, but that's where I think it needs to go, because if you put it beside the street, it's not running water from the west as the way it was the way it used to.
It's a twofold issue. That's one. The other is this amount of water coming down from upper town here, if I might describe it as such. There's too much water coming down in that one area. And that flooded it. No, when there was no development directly across, and that water ran across that walk down over the hill, it wasn't an issue because there was nothing there. Now, with the development, the whippoorwill, that acts as the dam. So when that water comes down, crosses the street, it is forcing it in areas that was never an issue in the past. So, you know, we can't say, okay, this has never been an issue. You know, why is it now? There's too much water coming. That's the problem. And it's not being handled at that culvert. And that culvert hasn't got bigger. That issue has never been resolved. All they ever did was pull a rock out of the culvert. And I think the rock had its purpose, and that was to keep the culvert from coming up. So that rock is still sitting there, by the way, by the hydro pole, and I've indicated to council that excuse me, that it is still there. But, you know, so that was gonna let more water through. Well, it was a 1 foot rock, so it isn't significant. But the point is there's too much water coming. As I say, it comes down the hill, it goes down 4th Street. So whenever there's a heavier rain, and heavier rain just means a 1 inch rain. It doesn't mean a 3 or 4 inch rain. If we had a rain like Souris had this last year, I can't even imagine the damage that would have been done to my lot, my property, my shed, and to Derek, because it would have been disastrous. And this is what we're trying to avoid. Let's not wait until something major happens and suddenly there's a lot of damage. I'm not saying these answers are cheap, and it isn't this council was not the one that created the problem. This was created in the past. And as long as that lot was left open and water was allowed across it, it wasn't an issue. But now with the development, it is an issue. So yeah, the culvert on the side will help some, but with a heavy rain event, it's going to blow that culvert right now because there's not enough dirt on it really to hold it in there much longer. And maybe we're better off with it. I don't know. But if it can't handle it, then my suggestion is that you've got to take some pressure off the amount of water going in that area.
And it's just my opinion, and everybody has one. The paving of Main Street, awesome. But it also has created a problem. We almost had water in the store. We almost had water in the bar. I said this the last time, but you used to pull into the bank in the store and the curb there and the bumpers would drag on little cars. No longer because it's been raised up. The speed with which it comes off the street now is faster. So every little rain, every 1 inch rain, I just lay awake at night. I drive up to the shed. I take a video of the water coming down there and it's incredible. There can be no water coming and you just hold the phone there and see this wall of water coming and you just hope that the culvert can take it. Wonderful job on all the improvements. Thank you very much. But in the event that it doesn't happen and it's just a matter of time, when it comes across the street and hits the municipal right away, by the letter of the law, it has to have the ability to stay in there like it used to. And if that, the answer is a culvert, and yes, I think the answer is a culvert 3 or 4 feet off the driveway. Am I right? I don't know. Will it freeze the town water lines there? Absolutely not. Is that where the water used to run? Yes. So that's why I think it's the right spot. If something happens to the water lines running into the private residence, it's not you guys' concern. It's not my concern. That should have been 2 feet deeper, 1 foot of styrofoam. That all should have been looked after under the old bylaw that they thought it was built under or under the new bylaw. We can keep going around the bush, beating around the track here, but that's the gist of it. You cannot plug a municipal right away. You cannot stop the flow of water in a municipal right away. That's it.
Don, you said that nothing's been done on the south side, and I just want to make sure, I think you know that that's not true, right? That ditch has been dug out, there's been culverts cleared. I don't like absolute statements that aren't.
Okay. There was an attempt, I would describe it as an attempt. There was a little bit of cleaning by the other culverts to the east, okay? There was virtually nothing done at the culvert. And I know why, because there's wires come down right at the exit. And apparently, I don't know whether it's the internet cable or what it is, but they didn't want to excavate there because of these wires. So nothing was done at the end of the culvert. Down a bit, yeah, there was some slight improvements made. I'm not denying it. So, yeah, nothing is, I think your wording, not mine. There was, but I know there's challenges because of, yeah, like on my side, that's where the sewer line is, and that's where all the internet cable and everything runs. So there's obstacles there as to what they do. I guess maybe some of that should have been considered prior to all that being done. The thing is that what was done, and as Derek said, you appreciate the fact that there was some attempts made, but it's not suffice. And an event is coming. It's just when. And, you know, we were very fortunate last year that we didn't have any heavy rains. And I do know it always seems to happen in the evening or overnight, because I've come down in my driveway into my property is washed. So water is crossing the road. It's just, I'm not there and most of us aren't there to witness it, you know. So I can see it. It runs to the north. Runs to, you know, when it crosses a line, it'll kind of run to the north and then to the west and over the hill. I'm just amazed that people down below, you know, have complained. It's fortunate there is an empty lot that I guess it's crossing, and again, I haven't been able to witness it. But I mean, the water crosses the street regularly because of the wash in my driveway.
Can I ask one question? Donald, and
Sure.
is it possible, like, I'm thinking we got two problems. by listening to both of you. He's got one, and you got another. And the problem is, we did try to solve some of the problems as to the water escaping to the east. And I'm not saying on the north side of the road, but we have tried. And this, believe me, we have looked at as to, is it possible that the road got flattened out when we were trying to save this town in 2011 and building the dikes? And they claimed that all the heavy trucks that were taking all the clay and things down towards the school or whatever, that road got pushed out. And if it was raised 6-8 inches, would it help? Like, I'm just asking, like, that's never been mentioned.
And that's a very valid point. Like sometimes, on the lot directly across from my shed, that water will cross from there and run onto my lot as well. And you're right. And that has been brought up, you know, that I'd like to see the street raised as well, because then by raising the street, we would not allow water to cross, or certainly as much water. Low spot actually, right where my driveway goes in, where it crosses regular from the other side.
And this is from 14 South.
Yes.
Okay.
Like there is a culvert under his driveway, but water seems a little reluctant to go west. And if it fills to the east, it backs up, and then that's where it crosses.
Councilor Jones, any questions?
I've just been looking at I had never seen what the original looked like. I don't know before the book was built. Just been writing all minutes down.
Councilor Hatch?
Should be on. I thought I just heard him.
Yeah, it was just my phone that was ringing. I had to shut it off.
Do you have any questions or comments?
Like, I do agree with the valid points, Mr. Zakanosh, Mr. Shearer are making. We did have consultations about putting the pipe in that driveway on multiple occasions, which I think probably should have been done. And I had conversations with Public Works about using a vac truck to lower the 90-degree pipe at a very cost-effective pricing. And that possibly should have been done too. So there's things we have to talk about.
Any further comments or questions from you guys?
What is the next step?
Because you've involved legal counsel, we're gonna have to treat this as a legal matter. So we're going to have a discussion in camera, as we do with all legal matters. And then there'll be further communication from Joni, I guess, with the result of that discussion.
Probably within the next month or sooner or longer.
What if we commit to giving you an update of some sort this week? Which may be that, you know, a decision.
It's gonna take a week or whatever,
Yeah.
that's fine.
I think we can commit to communication this week.
I can certainly do that.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your time, guys.
Be it resolved that the presentation by Derek Shear and Don Zakanovic related to drainage issue be received and delivered. Councilor Jones, Councilor Fisher, any discussion? All in favor?
In favor.
Thank you. Yeah. Be it resolved that this matter be further discussed by council in the in-camera session. Get them over. Jones, second by Councilor Fisher, any discussion? All in favor?
In favor.
Communication.
Okay, under the org communications, there are several from the Association of Manitoba Municipalities. They are dated December the 10th, the 19th, 2 on December the 20th, January the 2nd, January 3rd, the 8th, the 10th, and the 15th. There is an introduction letter from Barnes and Duncan Survey Engineering and Planning. There's information from Dr. Wayne Kelly from the Brandon University with respect to assessing climate resilience and mitigation. Canadian Wildlife Service has provided information on species at risk. Federation of Canadian Municipalities has 3 communiques, December the 18th, December the 20th, and January the 13th. Government of Canada has invited participation in a municipal solid waste management study. Manitoba Department of Environment and Climate Change has provided information on the Assiniboine River zebra mussel detection. Municipal and Northern Relations have provided several bulletins. Number 28 is on the Property Assessment Services Levy. Number 30 is on payments in lieu of taxes shortfall. Number 32 is rates for railway, pipeline, and gas distribution. Number 1 of 2025 is with respect to the Climate Action Fund. Number 2 relates to the 2025 Manitoba Planning Conference. There was information from the Office of the Fire Commissioner with respect to shared health fire sprinkler installation update, and that information was also provided to our fire inspector. Public Utilities Board provided information on a change to their board order number 9309 with respect to how we have to do asset retirement obligations now. Development Institute gave their January newsletter. Census Chartered Professional Accountants gave their interim audit report, and there was information about the Wawanesa Heritage website.
Be resolved that the above noted communications be received. Can I get a mover? Richard, second by Councilor Jones. Any discussion? All in favor?
In favor.
Okay, committee reports. Councilor Fisher, you have a written report. Anything to add?
Nothing to add.
Councilor Jones, anything to add to yours? Nothing there. Councilor Hatch, anything to add to your written report?
Nothing to add.
Okay, McDonald submitted a written report. I have nothing to add to my written report. The council submitted a written report. CAO, anything to add to your report?
Nothing further.
Finance officer, anything to add?
Nothing to add.
Public works report, anything to add?
Thank you.
Fire chief submitted a written report. Be it resolved that the verbal and written reports be received. Can I get a mover? Councilor Fisher, second by Councilor Jones. Any discussion? In favor?
In favor.
Yes. Okay, notice of reconsideration, sale of surplus fuel tanks. Be it resolved that motion 894 from November 19th, 2024 related to the sale of surplus fuel tanks be reconsidered. Can I get a mover? Should Councilor Hatch move this?
Councillor Hatch probably should.
Yeah, I'll
Are you
move
okay
that.
with? Okay, can I get a seconder? Councilor Fisher, any discussion? All in favor?
Favor.
Carried. Okay, do you want to?
Go through the rest?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so at the time that the surplus fuel tanks were discussed, it was believed that they were all single lined. We have since found out that there are 2 of them that are double lined. As a result of that, I suspect the council will want to reconsider what they have as their reserved bid. If in fact that is what council would like to do, then this item was the item that was on the November 19th meeting. You would want to defeat that one, and you would then want to carry the one that's secondary down there with any changes to the Schedule A that you want to make.
Okay. So be it resolved that the 3 surplus fuel tanks be disposed of via local advertising for surplus equipment with reserve bids as indicated on the Schedule A attached to the Public Works and Transportation Services Committee report dated November 7th, 2024, whereby if the reserve bid is not met, the tanks be sent to auction. Can I get the mover? Councilor Jones, seconder, Councilor Fisher. Any discussion? All in favor? So just as a reminder that if you want to change your decision, you need to defeat this motion. So Right. So, all in favor? Your hand is not up, correct?
No,
Okay.
scratching my head over the,
Against?
Against.
Okay, that motion is defeated. Be it resolved that Schedule A attached to the Public Works and Transportation Services Committee report dated November 7th, 2024, be deleted and replaced with a new Schedule A dated January 21st, 2025. Get a mover? Counselor Jones, seconded by Counselor Fisher. Any discussion?
Now is where we will need to decide what pricing it is that you think that you want.
Craig, this
Oh.
is yours.
Okay, well, we're gonna have to do some discussion. And I don't think it can happen in 2 minutes on values of these tanks now. So we have to figure that pricing out.
Do you have suggestions, Chelsea?
Did have suggestions, but I wanted more from them, so.
Okay.
Like I had found several prices of values, but that now that 2 of them are double wall tanks, we have to recalculate our values again.
I mean, if we went off what the new ones cost. As well, right? Right?
I don't think.
I don't think
you
you-
can.
Well, he originally wanted, I think, $6,000 for one, right, Craig?
Yeah, I'm having
The new
trouble
one
with
wasn't
it, guys, but
$6,000.
I sent Joni photos of, I still have them on my phone here actually, of some tanks. And like even a 1,000-gallon fuel tank, single wall was priced at 3,500 with a pump on it. That's one. A 500-gallon tank with a pump on it at a single wall was $2,400 value. A 1,000-gallon tank, it double wall was priced at $7,500. So we have to sit down and calculate some reasonable values that we want to either advertise these at with the reserve bid, and then if we don't get the reserve bid, we can send them to auction or whatever we decide here.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, Chairman. So these were being replaced because they were thought to be single walled. Turns out that they're actually double walled, 2 of them.
It was required under insurance.
Insurance,
to
yeah.
replace them.
So insurance, did we tell insurance they were single walled or did,
Insurance told us that we had to replace them.
because they were single walled? And they're not. So.
I'd have to go back to the report.
Yeah, no, that's what it was. But is there anything, because we ended up working cost of this, is there anything that, because insurance was wrong, we can,
I think we better reference the report. We'll say that insurance was wrong unless you have I don't have a perfect memory of what that.
I remember like the report saying that all of our tanks are single walled and they also needed to be within a compound, right, just per their insurance requirements. So maybe we don't have to sell it. Well, we bought all new tanks now.
I
Yeah.
mean, wouldn't it be fair to say that the bigger tanks are selling for 2,500, 2,800? Just so we can move forward with this and get it off, or no?
It feels to me like a table motion would be the best option here. I don't want to make a decision that's not properly researched here. So,
I'll make a motion to table that.
seconded. Okay. Any discussion?
Just review what the report was from the insurance company. And go from there. If they assumed that our tanks were single walled, then telling us having to replace them and then finding out that they're double walled could change things in terms of what we sell them for, or if we get anything back.
Okay, any discussion? Any further discussion? All in favor?
In favor.
Okay, so food cycle science, if you remember, we had a presentation before Christmas. A virtual presentation on the food machine.
And
Sorry.
in taking a look at what would be required, if council was interested in doing anything further, it would be a case of attempting to find 100 households in Wawanesa that would be interested in participating, given the number of people. I think anything under 10,000 households required 100 households to participate. The cost to the municipality is $10,000. And then anybody who was wanting to participate would have the option of purchasing either the smaller size Eco 3 or the larger size Eco 5. They would in fact get a discount for purchasing it for the pilot project, partially because of what the municipality would be offsetting it, and possibly because they were also giving us a bit of a reduced rate. But if council wants anybody to take direction on that, it would probably be wise to give direction in that regard now, so that the $10,000 could be considered as part of budget deliberations.
Okay, so does anyone have a motion that they'd like?
I'll put a motion for it that we accept the presentation.
And we did that as they did present, but if we need to do anything further.
It's a great idea for Toronto.
Yeah, and just to be clear, the household could be anywhere. Yeah.
Yes.
Craig, any strong?
I was, the girl did mention about demonstrator models, possibly be nice if we could get a couple of those in to see if they're, how effective they are. I don't know if we would want to spend the money at this time myself, but whatever.
I don't want to jump forward yet, so. Like he said, the demonstrator was an excellent idea. I don't know if he puts one at his house and one at my house, if that's adequate, or where we put the demonstrators. But it just,
Yeah,
in a perfect world, we'd all like them, but it's really feasible as of yet.
yeah, I think that it would be nice if we had a mechanism. It's and we could look into some sort of survey monkey, or do we have email addresses on community?
We have for a number, and we could certainly let it be known that we're looking to do this, and if people wanted to participate, to make sure that we have the email address.
Yeah, my initial reaction is to do it either. I understand if everybody here wanted to do it, that would possibly change the opinion.
We send out the question, Mr. Chairman.
So there's a motion suggestion here, it would be a resolve that can be direct or evidence to determine future interests. Willing to move that? Me. Fisher, seconder.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Gotcha.
If individual residents want to use this, I think you share the information with them, but I really don't think that would be the benefit, I'm just curious what the benefit to the municipality.
It would potentially reduce transportation payments because we're paying based on
The
the volume.
food.
So, being landfill, then or landfill waste transfer station. It would reduce the cost.
Wondering how much actual food wastes. Like, also garbage. But here's what the actual, I don't even know, if we have the ability to do a study on, like, that's a very big undertaking.
I don't know, short of try and pilot it for a year and see whether or not you actually get reductions in what goes to the waste transfer station. I don't know how else you would determine that. I suspect that rurally people probably use more of their stuff. Or whatever versus getting in town, that they don't do it much that way.
Okay, any further discussion on the motion? All in favor?
In favor.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, gravel hauling on Methven Road, be it resolved with the report of Public Works Director dated January 9th, 2022. Get Mover. Fisher, second by Councilor Jones. I do want to get back on this meeting.
It was a concern that was sent into the administration with respect to the beating that Methven Road is taking with respect to heavy trucks hauling on it. Before we put that information forward, we also wanted to have an idea as to what we are receiving for aggregate fees and to help out with dust control. That has been provided in the January the 9th report. Public Works Manager has also spoken with the individual who put forward the initial concern. So that contact has taken place. And as council had indicated with the preliminary discussion on budgets, was that they would like administration to perhaps have discussions with managers of any of the major companies that are going to be doing hauling to see whether or not they would be prepared to provide some fees for an additional lay of gravel. So that gets into the second recommendation.
Okay. Any discussion?
One of my major concerns is it seems to become a major road for gravel to a lot of other places and not benefiting us much. I know there is fees and they are not being spent on Methven Road. There is some punch outs that have to be fixed. Like, it got to the point last year that it was just ridiculous. And they're squished out, they have to be rebuilt. I'm sorry, it can't be just fixed by a layer of gravel. And driving that road almost daily, and I believe it's even worse further north. That we gotta look at this in a serious manner, so.
I thought we had a motion with regard to the aggregate fees in a previous meeting, but no, can I imagine that? Okay. Okay, anything further on this? Okay, all in favor?
In favor.
Okay, be it resolved that administration be directed to contact the managers of major haul companies with respect to fees to offset. Jones, seconded by Fisher. Any discussion? All in favor?
In favor.
Paisley Road snow fence. Be it resolved that the correspondence from Scott Bully be received and a copy of the updated winter operations policy be provided. Hoover. Councilor Jones, second by Councilor Fisher. Discussion.
Oh, did we do bridging it? It is working? Okay.
Further discussion. All in favor?
In favor.
Carried. Be it resolved that the correspondence from Ron Jeffries related to the Spirit Sands Medical Center be received and considered in conjunction with the 2025 budget deliberation. Hoover. Fisher, seconder. Jones, discussion.
This presented last year as well. From the Glenboro.
Yes. So there was another letter sent
Yeah.
in our package. Any further discussion?
Did we, last year, we received it and just did it work out last year? We,
Last year, it was a request for somebody to sit on their meeting.
as well as.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what were they asking?
They're asking for 40. They've done a calculation based on usage from Oakland-Wawanesa, Lakes, Cypress. And that's how they've designed their ask.
This is the one that they're building, right?
New one. They are gonna turn sod this spring.
We. It was said last year, we don't really. It's right. So we're. Considering this.
Funding request in the fall was denied.
Yeah.
The motion here is that it be considered this year, so. I think that there is significant progress in fundraising. So worthwhile having the discussion. The discussion.
Just by using the clinic here, and I have been in the past gone to Glenboro as well. There's a lot of people that go to. And basically, there's a lot of people from Brandon coming here. So I don't know how we're going to appease everybody. But just rub shoulders with your neighbors as far as I'm concerned, so.
Anything further? All in favor?
Favor.
Okay, be it resolved that a 3-year agreement be entered into with Municipal Sewer Maintenance Limited for the years 2025 to 2027 at a cost of approximately $7,000 per year, whereby costs should be allocated to the appropriate utility operator. Councilor Jones, seconded by Councilor Fisher. Discussion, I think this is a new agreement. They've always done the work, but we've never had an agreement in place.
Yeah, that's correct. And I think probably because in the past, the amount that was being spent was under $5,000. They do 1/3 of the town site each year. So they get through the entire town site in the 3-year period. But they did in fact send an agreement this time that needs a signature on it. So it's on the agenda.
So, sorry, it's gone from 5,000 to 7,000?
It was $7,000 last year, and I don't know whether they just did a bit more work or ran into a bit more issue last year. But we included $7,000 in the utility budget to offset.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Favor.
Okay, disposition of municipal records. Whereas the Municipal Act legislates the retention and disposal of municipal records, and whereas the file system for the municipality has been established based on those requirements. Now therefore be it resolved that municipal records having surpassed their required retention period be disposed of in the manner outlined in regulation 53/97. Anyone mover? Fisher, second. Councilor Jones, discussion. All in favor?
In favor?
Be it resolved that the report of the chief administrative officer dated January 6, 2025, related to bylaw reviews be received. Mover. Jones, seconder. Sir Fisher, discussion. All in favor?
In favor?
Carried. Be it resolved that administration be directed to prepare an amendment to procedure bylaw 06-2018 as amended to change council meeting times from 9 AM to 2:30 PM. Mover. Jones, a seconder. So I have a second. Let's put it on the table. But I would also like to move the table in motion. Is that allowed? The second motion in the table?
No, so I would,
Okay.
well, if you got it there on the floor, whether you have a little bit of discussion or whether you now yourself put forward a tabling motion, in which case this one doesn't get discussed at all.
So my thinking here is that it would be nice to have the entire council involved in the discussion, so that's why I'm thinking that it should be tabled to another meeting. Are you willing to move a table motion?
I would like to move a tabling motion for this motion, so.
I get a seconder. Councilor
Yes.
Hatch, are you,
Yeah, I'll second that.
any discussion?
Thinking that this be tabled to the February council meeting.
With that, do we have everyone there, do we think?
Except Hatch.
Councillor Hatch joins virtually. I'm not aware of anybody else being away.
Okay, yeah, so February.
Yeah, February's fine. Just, I would like to see more people at the table.
Are we sure everyone's gonna be back from there?
Yeah, Bob is only away for a week.
We, Rex back by the 29th or something, isn't it?
I'm away in between, but I should be around on the 17th, I think.
Okay,
Okay, all in favor?
Favor?
Okay, be it resolved that the Manitoba Municipalities Online Report for the month of December 2024 be received and any necessary actions to the bylaw maintenance index be hereby approved. Mover. Can I get a mover? Councilor Fisher, second by Councilor Jones.
Arm get tired.
Yeah. Discussion on this, so, reminder for council that this is a new practice that we've adopted to deal with, divided or any changes to properties that are going to affect the amounts due under bylaws. So even though it's not required, this can be dealt with in bylaw maintenance. We are instituting an extra step here of having council acknowledge those changes. Zoe? Any discussion? All in favor?
In favor?
And I should have known that there was a list provided at once. Okay. It resolved that this regular meeting now adjourns to an in-camera meeting to discuss the legal matter as per 152 3D2 of the Municipal Act. All matters discussed in camera are confidential until discussed in an open meeting as per section 83(1)D of the Municipal Act. Can I get a mover? Councilor Jones, second by Councilor Fisher, any discussion? Would note that Mr. Rome, we're going to invite you to stay for a portion of the in-camera deals with the conduct. So, all in favor?
In favor?
Be resolved that this in-camera meeting is now resumed back to a regular meeting. Only seconded by Councilor Fisher. Any discussion? Favor?
In favor.
Carried. Code of Conduct Complaint 04/2024, be it resolved that the report of BC Advisory Group dated December 2024 related to Code of Conduct Complaint 04-2024 be received and the complaint in part be forwarded to the investigator agreed upon by the complainant and the response. I'm gonna move it. With Jones, seconded by Councillor Fisher. Discussion. All in favor?
In favor.
Resolved that the correspondence dated January 9th, 2025, in the RM of Wallace related to a code of conduct concern be received. Can I get a mover? Maybe we'll do Councillor Fisher moving this
I'll second.
and Councillor Hatch will second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Favor.
Carried. Be it resolved that should a member of council wish to initiate a code of conduct complaint, the process outlined in code of conduct by law number 07-2020 be followed. Can I get a mover? Fisher, seconder, Councillor Hatch.
Hatch.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
In favor.
Be it resolved that the 2-year agreement between Drew Wilton Independent Contractor and the municipality of Oakland-Wawanesa for utility services be approved as presented. Can I get a mover? Second and Councillor Fisher. Any discussion? All in favor?
In favor.
Carried. Be it resolved that the ongoing firefighting agreement municipality of South Glenwood be approved as presented. It's 4% annualized. It's moving to 3%. Councillor Fisher, seconded by Councillor Jones. Any discussion? All in favor?
All in favor.
Carried. Be it resolved that the administration be requested to obtain information from the building contractor with installation of existing water lines, the overall development along with opportunities for installation of cross barrier for any proposed culverts. Mover, Councillor Jones, seconder, Councillor Fisher. Any discussion? All in favor?
In favor.
Be it resolved that this meeting does now adjourn to meet again on February 18th, 2025 at 9 a.m. at noon. Fisher, second, Councillor Jones. All in favor?
Favored.